And this is your 22nd lesson now. 22nd lesson, which is state. So what do you know about states? So what do you know? Right. So in your grade 8, sometimes you might know what is the set, right? And what is a null set, right? What is a null set? And how to obtain the number of elements of the set, right? And how many number of elements are there in a null set, right? So on and so on. And how do you present a given set in a by using a Venn diagram? Venn diagram. So I think you can remember it, right? I think you can remember it. Right? So before going into the lesson, right, let's get a little bit of refresh for that. Right? So in next week means right, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I will upload the tube, right, to the group so that you can collect it. Right? Then let's get a little bit of refresh before going into the letter part, right? Amaru Devalate Anna Kali. Let's have a quick refresh. Right, okay, guys. So, what is a set? So, a set is a collection of clearly identifiable items called element, right? So, when we are writing a number of set, we are generally using the curly bracket, right? We are using curly brackets to write down the element of a set, right? So, for an example, right, you can see here, and I have given you an example, right? So, A is the name of the set, right? Name of the set, right? So, I have used curly bracket, right? I have used curly brackets, right? To name the or to describe the set. Even numbers between 0 and 16. That is the name of the set, right? So that is the element of the set, right? Or the description of the set, right? A equals curly inside curly brackets, even numbers between 0 and 6, right? Okay. So the same set can be written down as this, like here, right? Even numbers between 0 and 16, right? So that I need to begin from 2, right? So that I need to begin from 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, right? So these are called element, right? 2 is an element, 4 is an element, 6 is an element, 8 is an element, 10 is an element, 12 is an element, 14 is an element of this set A, right? Okay, so I can represent this set A in a Venn diagram. So basically, you can use a simple ellipse, right? This is ellipse, right? Inside this, you can write down all the elements that you have in the curly bracket 2, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, right? And what is the name of this Venn diagram? A, right? A, right? Okay, so I will come to the board now. So what I have explained is, right, for an example, our A is even numbers between 0 and 26, right? Right, whatever, 0 and 10. Right? So I can write down this one in a different way. How do you write down? Open curly bracket, even numbers between 0 and 8. Right? 2, comma 4, comma 6, comma 8. Right? You cannot write 10 because here you have between word. Right? Close curly bracket. I can represent this same set of elements in a different way, right? In a Venn diagram, by using a Venn diagram. So ellipse can be used to that. 2, 4, 6, 8. Right? So this is called set A. So by using and it's called arrow, you can name this Venn diagram as A. Right? So write down this toggle here. I am just refreshing your knowledge, yeah. Right? ලෝකෙත් මතක නෑනේ අටවසර ඉවරනම වනේ. ඒකයි මේ මතක් කරන්නේ. හරි. Right. හරිනේ? done නේද? Right. So now 2 is an element of A. 4 is an element of A. 6 is an element of A. 8 is an element of A. Right? How do you write it in a mathematical form? How do you write it in a mathematical form? So let's see. Right? So I will use here. Right? I will write something like this. Now look at the board. 2 is an element of A. So how do I write? 2 is an element of A. So is an element of A. So how do we write in a mathematical form? I can write 2 instead of is an element of, right? Instead of is an element of, I can write down the Greek letter, right? This one. Element. 2 is an element of A. Very easy. 2 is an element of A. Right? So likewise, 4 is an element of A. 4 is an element of A. Right? Belongs to A. 2 belongs to A. 4 belongs to A. Right? So please write this as a clear. ඔන්න දැන් මතක් වෙනවා යා මේවා අපි අටවසරේදී කරන්නේ කියලා. හරි. මේවා අපි අටවසරේදී කරන්නේ කියලා දැන් මතක් වෙනවා. හරි. 2 is an element of A. Now, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, right? Now 2, 4, 6, 8. Can anyone say 20? Right? 20 is an element of A. Right? Is 20 element of A? Is 30 element of A? These are
No,
no, right?
no.
So we write it in a mathematical form. How do we write it? So let's see. Who is an element of A? Yes. This is the way that we are going to write. So I am going to write now 20 is not an element of A, not an element of A. Thirty is not an element of A. Right? So how do we write? Who is an element of A? Right? 20 is an element of A. Right? 20 is an element of A. But here we have 20 is not an element of A. So you have to cross this by using a dash. 20 is not an element. T, you have to write letter C. C අකුර ලිව්වා. E අකුර කරා not කරා. Right? You see it? T ලිව්වා E කරා not. Correct? Okay. 30 is not an element of A. 30 is not an element of A. Please write this. Take a leave. Please write this answer. Right. Okay. Now, the other thing. And now this is our technique. A is our set. Guys. මම මේක පරණයි ගෙන්න කරලා තියෙනවා. හරිද? කවුද මේ අලුතෙන් ඉන්නවනේ මේ දෙන්නෙක් විතර. right? කවුද? යූසුෆ් and හිරුජ නේ. right? guys ඕගොල්ලන්ට මම මේ කරන ස්පීඩ් එක ඇතිද මදිද වෙනස් මම ගිය සතිය අහුවත් දන්නේ නැහැ. right? මම ගිය සතිය අහුවද මට මතක නැහැ. right? is this speed is enough or slow? right? or මේක ඕකේද නැත්නම් too much speed ද මම කරන්නේ? මොකක් මේ කවුද හිරුජන් කවුද යූසුෆ්? Am I too fast? Or this speed is okay with you guys? Or is this slow?
No, sir. That like I think it's slow.
Slow means I need to somewhat do it somewhat fast, ne?
Yes, I get.
All right. Okay. So what about others? දැන් ඔය ගණන් එක අපේ පරණ හිටපු කට්ටියගේ මොන කරනවා flow වැඩිද? තව චුට්ටක් fast කරලා කරන්නද? කියන්න සෙනුත්මි බානුග දිනුගි right? කියන්න shall I do somewhat fast? No. Or not, right? Okay. So however, let's do. Right? So this is A equals 2, 4, 6, 8. Right? So how do you write the number of elements of A? Right? So how do you write the number of elements of A? Number of elements of A. How do you write this in a mathematical form? How do you write this in a mathematical form? You have done this in your grade 8, right? Number of elements of A, right? So in a mathematical form, you are going to write this as, right, number of n for number, right, of elements of A, right? Number of elements of A equals, right? You have to count the elements. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Number of elements of A equals to 4. So this is the way that you are going to do it. Right? Right? Number of elements of A. Number of elements of A equals 4. This is the mathematical way. Right? Okay. So what is a null set? So
Not a set.
yes, it is not a set. Right? Actually, if someone is asking from you what is the null set, so you can say the set which has no element, right? The set which has no element, right? You can say the set which has no element, right? The set which has no element is called an null set, right? Is called an null set, right? How do you denote an null set? There are few mathematical ways to denote the null. Right? What is the null set? The set which has no element is called a null set. Right? There are few ways. There are few ways, right, to represent a null set. So the first thing is, the first way is, right, you can represent a null set by using empty curly bracket, right? By using empty curly bracket, because the number of elements are 0. Inside this, you cannot find any element, right? So this is one way to represent an null set. Empty curly bracket, right? Because number of elements are 0. No element. It is an empty set, right? Empty set, right? So second, or you can use pi. You can draw a circle, empty circle, and you can proceed like this. Pi. Same thing. No element, right? Same thing. Null set. This is also null set. Null set. Null set. Empty set. Empty set. Right? And how do you represent the number of elements in a null set? How do you represent the number of elements? internal set in a mathematical way. Number of elements in a null set equals number of elements in a null set equals what should be the number? There are no elements. No elements. That means empty set is 0. Yes, except number of elements in a null set equals to 0. Okay. Right. I'm going to share the screen. Right. I'm going to share the screen. Right. So let's do the example number 1. Right. Let's do the example number 1. Right. So how do we do this? Now you can do. Right. So I have given, right, a equals whole numbers between 5 and 10. Whole numbers between 5 and 10. Right. So you can write the answer for the first one. Write the set of elements of A. Write the set of elements of A. Right. You can write A equals
6, 7, 8, 9.
Yes, excellent. 6, 7, 8, 9, close bracket, and find the number of elements in set A, right? Na. So how do you write?
4.
Yes, N A equals 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So this is the answer for the first one. This is the answer for the second one. Right. No need to write the question. It is in the tutor. Right. Okay. Let's move to the next part. Make it aggal, right? Right. Okay. Write down the subtitle: finite set, infinite set, equivalent sets, and equal set. Finite set, infinite set, equivalent set, and equal set. Right. Okay. I hope you have finished writing. Right? I hope you have finished writing. Right, guys. No need to write the explanations, huh? Right. And write down this one as a subtitle: finite sets and infinite set. This one: finite set, infinite set. Right. By looking at this picture, right, here in my left hand side I have finite set. In my right hand side I have infinite set. So I have put two examples here. Right? There are two examples, right? Let's consider the finite set first, right? Let's consider the finite set first, right? So I have given you an example. It is something like a equals whole numbers from 1 to 10. This is not bit t, from 1 to 10. So you have to include 1 and 10 also, right? So this is the answer for this a, right? A equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because whole numbers from 1 to 10, right? Okay. So can you count them? Yes. Can you count the number of elements inside this? Yes. Because here you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10. There is a limitation, right? For a finite set, there is a limitation, right? That means you can right? That means you can count, right? Finish counting. That means you can finish counting the number of elements in the set A. මේ set A එකේ තියෙන elements ගාන you can finish counting. Count කරලා ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? So here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Number of elements of A equals to 10. Number of elements of A equal to 10. Correct? So that you can say number of elements of set A are finite, right? So that you can say set A is finite. Sets with a specific number of elements are known as finite set, right? Right? There is a limitation and you can count. Then it is a finite set, right? Now let's go to the infinite set. To this side, right? To this side, b equals multiples of 2. B equals multiples of 2. There is no any limitation, right? You can write whatever you want, right? That means multiples of 2. There are infinite set of, right? Infinite number of multiples of 2. So begin from 2, you can write down as you, right? As you want, right? As much as you can write 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, blah 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 up to infinity, right? You cannot count that, right? You
Sir,
yes.
what is this?
Wait, I will come to that point.
Oh,
So this is right. You cannot finish counting. That means right. You cannot finish counting the number of elements in set B. Right. There are hundreds of thousands of infinite number of elements. Right. So 3 dots means you cannot count. Right. This continues 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, blah 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 up to infinity. Right. So number of elements of B, right? Meaning of this is, right? Meaning of this one is number of elements of B. So you have to count ne. What is this? මේ මොකද්ද? දන්න කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද? මම හිතන්නේ කියලා දීලා තියෙනවා ඇති. පරණ අයට සමහර විට මට මතක නැහැ. Right? What is this called? මේකට මොකද්ද කියන්නේ? දන්න එක්කෙනෙක් හරි ඉන්නවා ඇති. Palana, ඔයා දන්නවද? Do you know what is this symbol is called?
no.
Right? Senutmi, දන්නවද? දන්නේ නැද්ද?
Sir, infinity?
Yes. Mega infinity, right? So this is called infinity. Right? This is called infinity. Anante, infinity. Right? So keep that in your mind. number of elements of B equals to infinity, right? You cannot finish counting, right? You cannot finish counting. So that we can say number of elements of set B are infinite, right? Because you cannot finish counting, right? Okay. So I will stop sharing, right? So very basically the summary is that you need to know is, right? For a finite set, and infinite set. Right? Finite set and infinite set. What is the summary? Can finish. Please write this down now. Can finish counting the number of elements. Right? And here cannot finish. Right? For an example, I will take set A, right? And A equals infinity. We'll take B. In A equals like, right? 10. Right? You can finish counting. These are some kind of an example, right?
Sir, why is the infinity symbol is like half?
Half.
Yeah, it's close, not close, no. It's open.
Yeah, definitely. It should be somewhat open here, right? Maybe open when no one, but it has a like. It is not actually not complete, but at the end it should be there. There should be a small gap, right? At the end. Right. Make a clear. Right. Okay. Right. I hope finish writing, right? So next subtitle equal set. Equal set. Equal sets. So most importantly, when you are comparing two sets, right? When you are comparing two sets, if those two sets needs to be an equal set, right? If someone is saying that two sets are equal set, right? The elements of that equal set, sorry, the elements of that two sets needs to be same, right? The elements of that two sets needs to be same, right? So let's write down that, and I will explain how to obtain an equal set. Elements of two or more must be equal. So I'm hearing a noise. Right. Ah, yes, they will. Oh, thank you for remembering that. Right. So okay, you can have a break after writing down this. Huh? I will give you a 5 minute break. It is almost already 7 p.m. 5 minute break. Huh? Countdown is on the board. So you can have a 5 minute break. So more set elements of two or more set must be equal, right? So how do we explain this? So अभी देख रहे हैं हेल्दी करें, right? So I write two sets, huh? Two different sets. So first one is A. Right now look at the board. Huh? Odd numbers between 0 and 10. So first one is odd numbers between 0 and 10. So the other one is, I can write digits of the number digits of the number this 139,57135, right? So first of all, I am going to write down the mathematical form of this, right? So A equals odd numbers between 0 and 10. Okay. So open curly bracket. What are the odd numbers between 0 and 10? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. These are the odd numbers between 0 and 10. Likewise, I am going to write the digits of the number, this number, right? So B equals open bracket, curly bracket. So I can write down 1, 3, 9. Yes, I can write 9. And when you are going to this side, you can write 5. 5 is a unique number and 9. So I will cut them, then I can understand. So 1 has been written down. 3 has, no, I am not cutting, I am putting a dot. This one is okay, this one is okay, this one is okay, this one is okay. 7, oh no, I haven't written down 7, right? So that I can write 7 here. 7, 9. So now 7 is done. Here now you have 1. 1 is here. 3. 3 is here. 5. 5 is here. All are done. Now what can you say about A and B? What can you say about A and B? A equals 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. B equals 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. If you have elements of 2 or more sets must be equal. If you want to have an equal set, right? Elements of the 2 or more sets must be equal. What can you say about A and B? Elements of the A and B. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Right? So that we can say set A and set B are equal sets because these elements are equal. Elements of 2 or more sets must be equal. So therefore, set A and set B are equal sets. Please write. Okay, yeah. And finally, we can write if A and set B are equal, so that A equals B. A equals B. Right. Hope you have finished writing. Deliver. Done. You can send me D for done now. Right, okay.
They're done.
Right, okay. So These are equal sets. Now equivalent set, right? Equivalent set. Equivalent sets. Right. So what is the property of an equivalence? So what is the property of an equivalence? Right. So what is the property of an equivalence? So for an equivalent set, right? For an equivalent set, if we consider two or more sets, right? If we consider two or more sets, right? There should be an equal number of elements for each and every set, right? If we count the number of elements of A, of B, of C, and blah blah blah, right? We count the number of elements of each and every set, right? There should be an equal number of elements. 5 now, 5, right? For number of elements in set A equals 5. Number of elements in set B equals 5. Number of elements in set C equal to 5. Right? Let's see some example. Right? So first of all, then equivalent set, right? Number of elements must be equal for each and every set. Right. So my first set is odd numbers between 0 and 10. Right. The next one will be vowels in alphabet. Right. Now look at the book. If you finish writing this one, number of elements must be equal for each and every set. If you finish writing this one, now look at the book. Don't write. I will give you the time to write. Then make a bar. I am going to explain. Okay. And most importantly, what book? Or Madusanke, what book? Previously, we discussed about equal sets. Right? Previously, we discussed about equal set. Now we are going to talk about equivalent set. When it comes to equivalent set, right? Number of elements should be here. You need to consider about the number of elements. Right? Right. Okay. Now look at it. Set A is odd numbers between 0 and 10. Set B is vowels in alphabet. Vowels in alphabet. So, what are the vowels in alphabet? A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. Now, do we need to consider about each and every element between the two sets? No, we need to consider the number of elements of A, number of elements of B. Right? You know, there are 5 elements here and 5 elements here. Right? 5 elements of set A, 5 elements of set B. You can say these are not equal set because 1 is not equal to A, 3 is not equal to E, right? This is a set of numbers, this is a set of letters. So that definitely you can say these are not equal set. They are equal set naming. Right? Now let's consider about the number of elements of A in A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equals 5. In B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Right? Number of elements must be equal for each and every set to be an equivalent. So NA equals 5, NB equals 5, so that we can say therefore A and B are equivalent.
The equivalent means equal, no?
No, that is why I explained earlier, right? We are not going to compare each and every element, right? We are going to compare
Only the element.
only the number of elements in equivalent.
Number of elements.
So that we can say therefore set A, right? And set B set A and set B are equivalent set. Right? So how do we denote it in a mathematical form? Right? Previously we denoted equal set A equals B. Right? A equals B. Right? Equivalent set. This is the way. A. But I will write it somewhere around. No, I will write it here. So I think you can see. Right? A. Right? For the equivalent, right? I am going to write something like this. This is the mark that we are going to use for the equivalent, right? Equivalent to B. Right? Therefore, set A and set B are equivalent sets. A is the equivalent set for B. Right? Please write this semi-clear. Right? No one checks me, eh? Right? Right? So this is what I have explained earlier. So A is a set and B is a set. So B is vowels in alphabet and A is numbers between odd numbers between 0 and 10, 1, 3, 5, 0, 9, and vowels in alphabet A, E, I, O, U. Right? So this is an example for equivalent. Yeah? Right? So when we consider the number of elements in A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? NA equals 5. When we consider the number of elements in B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it gives you NP5. So that we can say set A and set B are equivalent set. Why? Equivalent. Number of elements in set A and number of elements in set B are equal, 5 and 5. So this is how we are going to denote A equivalent to B. A equivalent to B. This is the mark that you are going to use to denote equivalent, right? A equivalent to B. Now we are going to discuss about subset and universal set, right? So subsets and universal set. So how do we differentiate them? Right? So when you are If you are in the word universal set, what comes to your mind? මොකද්ද ඔයාලට මතක් වෙන්නේ? Universe. මුළු universe එක. මුළු ලෝකෙම. Subject. When we consider the universe, right? The earth is a subset. Yeah. Earth කියන්නේ පොඩි කෑල්ල, පොඩි set එකක්, පොඩි subset එකක්. උපකුලගේ. Right? So, subset includes a number of elements from another set. Right? Subject includes number of elements, right? Few number of elements from another set. So it is called a subset. Right? Okay. Let's write it. I will put in the okay now. I will share the screen so that you can write me. Right. Please write this. This one only. Yeah? A is a set where all of its elements are also contained. Contained within another set. From here to here. A subset is a set where all of its elements are also contained within another set, right? Please write only this one only. Yeah? Please write this one only. So I will put it in the chat. Then you can write it. Right, it is in the chat. Now for an example. Consider if A and set B. Set A and set B. So how do we write or how do we write in a mathematical form? A is a subset of B. How do we write? So let's see. A is a subset of B. There are two ways to write, right? Either way you can use. Guys, can you hear me? Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. Sorry for that power cut. දන්නද ඔය එකපාරටම power cut වෙනවා. Right. So where we were. Right. So we are discussing about the subject, right? So when it comes to here, so there are two sets called set A and set B. right? Set A and set B. How do you denote? A is a subject of B. In a mathematical, you can write down. A is a subject of B. Yes, we know that. Right? How do we denote in a mathematical way? Right? There are two ways. Either right, the first way or second way, both you can use. Right? But don't capitalize it. Right? So right now look at the word. A is a subject of B. Right? So I will write like this. A is a subject of B. A is a subject of B. So what is the notation that should I write in the middle? That is C. Something similar to C. This is not C, yeah. This is not C. Something similar to C. අර කාන්දම් තියෙන්නේ කාටුන් වල අර ටොම් ඇන්ඩ් ජෙරි ගේම තියෙනවා මේ වගේ ලොකු කාටුන්. මේ කාන්දම්. Something. Right? It's called subset. A is a subset of B. Right? අර inequality වල වගේ, right? Can you remember inequality? The mouth is open to the big one, right? A is the smallest thing, right? Something like B is the universe, A is the subject, right? Universe is very bigger, right? Very bigger, right? Very big, and Earth is smaller one. Earth, so that Earth is the subject of universe, right? This is something like Earth. This is something like universe. A is the subject of B, and you can write same, thing in a different way also, right? You can write this in the other way also, right?
Opposite.
Right. So when you see this, you need to see, right, where the mouth is open. Mouth is open for B. That means A is the subject of B, right? B is the biggest one. A is the subject of B. A is the subject of B. A is the subject of B. So these are the two. Please write this here. මේක පටල ගන්න එපා. Both of these ways are correct. You can use this or this, right? This or this. A is subject of B. A is subject of B. Right. So I'm going to share the screen now. Right. So what is a universal set? So what is a universal set?
A.
Right. So a universal set is a set that contains all the elements under consideration in a particular context, right? So we are going to explain this in a different thing also, right? Right. In the I'm going to explain it somewhere here, right? So this is also universal set. So okay. For now, I will keep it like this, and shall we do an example from? Yes, let's do an example from subject, right? So let's complete this. Right, this is in your tutor, make a tutor, right? So no need to write, right? So example number 1, right? I will zoom it out. I will explain the universal set later, right? So this is our example number 1. Now look at the screen, right? Screen area bar, right? So our example number 1 is, so there is a set A, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, right? Subjects of A can be written as, right? Subjects of A can be written as 1, 3, 5, right? It is B. I have mentioned it B. And another subject can be written down. We can write down another subject. 2, 4, 6. Another subject can be written, right? 1, 2, 4, right? There are a lot of subjects that we can write. And if we write another subject, like I will say it is E, right? E equals, open bracket, I can write 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6. So this is also another subject, right? Okay, just forget it. Right? Now what it says here, right? It says here when two sets A and B are considered. So we are going to consider set A and set B, right? Now can anyone say tell me what is the subject when you are considering A and B? Can anyone say, right? Just you can send me a message. What is the subject? Is A is the subject? Is B the subject? Now I have told you what is the difference between a subject, right? What is the meaning of the subject? Yes, excellent, excellent, Dinuki, excellent, Biduni, right? Right. So you know what is the subject, ne? Nice, right? So definitely B is the subject of A, right? When two sets A and B are considered, right? If all elements in set B are also in set A, then you can say set B is known as the subject of A, right? Okay. Now, please write down the answer for first one. First one has been done. B is a subject of A. You can write it as B is a subject of A and B is a subject of A. And here you have C is a subject of A, D is a subject of A. Please fill the blanks. When I blanks they fill karan tanga. This is very simple. Make a part easy. You have to fill the blanks means you have to put the symbol. මේ symbol එක දාන්න විතරයි තියෙන්නේ. Right? Please write down this one and then write down this and complete. Then write down this one and complete. Hope you have finished writing. C is a subject of A, right? C is a subject of A. So how do you write? C is a subject of A. So the biggest one is A. C is the subset. You have to fill this like this, right? And the other way around, A is the biggest one. So the universal one, C, right? C is the subject of A. D is a subject of A, right? D is a here other way around. Neither D is the subject of A, right? Here D is the subject of A. So this is the way that you need to fill. C is a subject of A. C is a subject of A. D is a subject of A. D is a subject of A. Right. Okay. Hope you have done. Right. Okay. Guys, I will give you like 2 minutes. Please do this one. You need to complete it. Complete this. Multiples of 2 between 0 and 10. Q equals all numbers between 1 and 10. Therefore, P is a subset of Q. Right? So you have to fill the blanks using the symbol, and you have to fill the blanks of this one as well. Right? So this is the universal set. Right? This is called phi. A universal set is a set that contains all the elements under consideration in a particular context. It is denoted by the symbol phi. So this is an special mark. Right? Oh, sorry. Right. If you finish this one now, I am going to explain what is an right. What is an universal set? Right. Okay. Now look at here. Hope you have finished writing. Right. So now consider this example. The set of all persons in a school could be a universal set for a study involving subject like students in grade 9 or female students and etc. So this is the school, right? When you consider your school, right? ඔගොල්ලෝ school එක ඔයාලගේ school එක සැලකුවොත්, right? When you consider your school, it is like a universe, right? And here in the example, they are saying set of all persons, right? All persons, there are different persons, right? Female students, right? They are inside the school, right? Teachers, they are also inside the school. Subject, right? Grade 9 student, right? They are also subject. English medium student, they are also subject inside the school. A level student, they are also the subject of the school. So these are subsets. Right? I will put S. Subset, 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 subject of the school. Then the school become the universe. Right? The school become the universe. That means the school is the universal set. The school is the universal set. So how do we denote the universal set? This is the special symbol. මේක නිකන් අර ඔයගොල්ලෝ අර පොඩි කාලේ චිත්‍ර අඳිනකොට කපුට අඳින්නේ. හරි. කපුට නෙමෙයි පියාඹන කුරුල්ලෝ. This is like phi. Right? The upper one is upper මෙන්න මේ උඩ තියෙන කොක්ක ටිකක් පොඩි. Right? It is something like this. Right? Phi. Right? Phi. Phi. Right? So it is denoted by the universal set. Universal set is denoted by phi, right? So that is the thing that you need to remember. හරි? ඒක තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ මතක තියාගන්න ඕන එකම දේ. හරි? Right. Example number 1. Right. Example number 1. It says, assume A equals 3579. Right. Assume A equals 3579 is a subset. A is a subset, right, of a universal set. Write down the suitable universal set for this. Right. Write down a suitable universal set for this. So I have written down, right? I have written down the answer for that. Right. I have written down the answer for that. Right. So you have to write down the answer for the example 2. Right. So because when I am explaining, right, so now I am going to stop sharing the, right. Right. In my example, number 1, I had something like this, right? The subset has been given, right? The subset has been given. The subset is A, right? Which is 3, 5, 7, 9, right? By looking at this subset, this subset, you can say, this is odd number, this is odd number, this is an odd number, this is an odd number. All are odd numbers, right? Now this is the subset now, right? This is the subset. The universal set should be bigger than this one here. The universal set should be more than this one, right? So we can define it, right? So all are 3, 5, 7, 9, right? Study, right? We is starting from 0, 1, right? That means all are odd numbers, right? So I can define the universal set. I can define the universal set like this, right? Odd numbers between 0 and 10. Between 0 and 10. Odd numbers between 0 and 10. Right? So this should be my universal set. That means my universal set means 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Right? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. Right? Odd numbers between 0 and 10. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Right? From this universal set, I have taken this A. 3, 5, 7, 9. 3 is here, 5 is here, 7 is here, 9 is here. Right? So A is a subset of this universal set. Right? Universal set should be bigger than this one. Right? Because we are taking one by one element from the universal set. So that means A is a subset of this universal set. Right? Okay. By considering this, so you have to provide the answer for the second example, right? So I will share the screen. So you have to fill it. Right, okay. Here, example number 2. Please, there can be two different ways that you can write, right? So here, assume A is 5, 7, 9, 11, 13 is a subset of a universal set. Write down a suitable universal set for this, right? So you can write more than one answers. At least one you can write. Please try to write down 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, comma, blah, 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 blah. This is an infinite set. Again, these are odd numbers, right? Again, these are odd numbers. Right. Okay, how can you provide a suitable universal set for this, right? So it is beginning from like 5, right? 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, blah blah blah. So very basically, you can say, right, my universal set will be odd numbers from, right? Odd numbers from odd numbers from 1 to infinity. Correct. Odd numbers from 1 to infinity. Or you can say odd numbers from 0 to infinity. Right? Whatever the answer you can write, right? These are odd numbers. Right? So your universal set should be odd numbers from 0 to infinity. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, blah 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 blah. Right? Up to infinity. So you can write. Right? Or else you can write the answer, right, very simply, right, in this way. What now? Right? What now? Right? Can you count? Say what now? No. There are infinite number of odd numbers. Right? Right? 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, blah 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 blah. Right? What now? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, blah blah blah. But for this take subject A, we have taken from here to infinity. From here to infinity. But there should be 1 and 3 also. Right? But in the subject, there are no 1 and it begins from 5 and 7, 9. Right? It begins from 5. Right. Next subtitle, Venn diagram. Venn diagrams. Right? Right. Okay. So when it comes to the Venn diagram, what we need to do, right? So first of all, you need to identify some special kind of Venn diagram and how to represent a set, how to represent a universal set, right? By using the symbol also, right? So now we are going to do that, right? Now, first of all, right, let's see how to represent the universal set by using the Venn diagram, right? How to represent the universal, right? First one, universal set. Right? So how do we now look at the bottom? Don't write. How do we represent the universal set by using the Venn diagram? Right? Generally, normally we are using a rectangle to represent universal, right? Rectangle to represent universal thing, right? So this is the universe. Inside this rectangle, we are going to represent subject A, subject B, subject C, right? Blah blah blah. All the others are text are inside this universal thing. That means inside this rectangle, right? And how to then as the second one, we need to represent the subject, right? So how to represent the subject? Second one. Representing the subject. How do we represent that? Right? First of all, we need to draw the universal thing. First of all, we need to draw the universal thing. Right? Inside this universal set, as I told you earlier, you can represent a subject. Right? To denote a subject, you have to use an ellipse. Right? So this is subject A, and this is universal set. Right? 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 On the top of this rectangle, you have to mention this is the universal set, so that you are going to place the symbol. You are going to write the symbol on top of this universal set, and you have to name this Venn diagram, and you have to name this subset, subject A. Right? Keep that in your mind. These are very important. Please write this. Please write these two. Great. එන්නවලට යනකොට මේක මාර වැදගත් උදේ. උත්තර මතක තියෙන සුපිරියර් මතක තියෙනවා කියන්නේ. හරිද? probability පාඩමට එනවා මේව මාර වැදගත්. හරි. Right. When you finish drawing this, please let me know. You can send me D for done. Right. Then you get done. Right. Okay. අර ඉස්සර ලයිට් කියන්නේ අපි මේ right දැන් ලංකාවේ ඉන්න කට්ටියට මේ ලයිට් යනවා කියන එක අවුලක් නැහැ නේද? සාමාන්‍යයෙන් දවසකට 4 පාරක් ලයිට් ගිහින් එනවා. ඉතින් මේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මම නිකන් කිව්වා ආවම වලින් එකපාරක් හරි යනවා දවසකට. හරිද? ඔය කොහෙද? එතකොට ඔය දියුණු රටවල්දී එතකොට කැනඩා. හරි. එතකොට ඕස්ට්‍රේලියා, නිව්සීලන්ත. හරි. ඊට UK ඔය වගේ රටවල් වල මිනිස්සුන්ට මේ ඊට පස්සේ ෆින්ලන්ඩ්, නෙදර්ලන්ඩ්, right? ස්වීඩන්, right? ඊට පස්සේ ස්විට්සර්ලන්ඩ් ඒ වගේ රටවල් වල මිනිස්සුන්ට මේ මතක නැහැ කියනවා මේ ලයිට් කියපු දවසක්. right? ඒ රටවල් වල ලයිට් කිය කවද්ද කියලා මතක නැහැලු. ඒ තරම් ඒ කියන්නේ ඒ රටවල් වල ලයිට් එකක් නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලන්ට එහෙම දිනයක් කියන්න බෑ. කාගීසනේ ලයිට් කියලා කියන්න බෑ යාට. අඩු ගානේ අද ළමයි කිව්වොත් නෑ මේ ළමයා ඉපදුනත් හරි ලයිට් ගිහින් නෑ ඒ රට. ලයිට් ඕෆ් කරන එක විතරයි ලයිට් ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. හරි. ඒ කියන්නේ මම මේ කියන්නේ ඒ තරම් ඒ රටවල් දියුණුයි. හරිද? ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ මේ හිටපු පාලකයෝ කරලා තියෙන කේමම තමයි අපේ රට. නැත්තම් අපේ රටත් ඊට වැඩිය සෑහෙන්න දියුණුයි. හරිද? හොරා ගාලා ඉස්සු දෙල්ලා රට නන්නත්තර කරලා තියෙන්නේ. දැන් ටික ටික හැදීගෙන යනවා. හරි. දැනුත් නැදෙයි දන්නේ නැහැ. ඔව් දැන් හරිද? මට ඒක කියන්න ඕනේ ඉස්සලා ලයිට් කියන්නේ. හරි. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ කවදාද ටාගට් කරන්න ඕනේ? මේ ඉන්නවට වැඩිය මේ කියන්නේ මම කියන්නේ මේ ඉන්න පාරේ මෙහෙම කියලා. නමුත් අඩුම තරමේ ඒ රටකට හරි ගිහිල්ලා ටාගට් එකක් තියාගෙන මම ගිහිල්ලා හරි එනවා කියලා. හරි. There are so many ways හරි. ගොඩක් දේවල් වැඩ මේ යන විදි තියෙනවා රට. Right? After your O levels you can go, after your A levels you can go, right? And before your O levels, right? If you want, you can go for study abroad. පිටරට යන්න පුළුවන්. හරි. ඉංග්‍රීසි මීඩියම් කරන එක ඒකට මාරම මේ හෙල්ප් එකක්, right? ඔයගලන්ට මේ අර ඒවයි ඉල්ලනවනේ IELTS එක. So that you can waive off. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයගලන්ට IELTS ඉංග්‍රීසි මීඩියම් වලින් කරා කියලා ඔප්පු කරොත් ඔයගලන්ගේ ස්ටඩි IELTS ඕනේ වේව් කරන්න පුළුවන්. right? ඔයගොල්ලෝ grade 6 to A levels වගේ කරනවා නම් super. හරි. A levels වලට වෙනකම් ඉංග්‍රීසි මීඩියම් කන්ටිනියු කරනවා නම් super. ඒ කියන්නේ අර වෙනම එක්සෑම් කර පෙන්නන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. හරිද? එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉංග්‍රීසි පැත්තෙන් ආයේ super right proficiency level එක maximum. එහෙම කරපු නැති කට්ටිය තමයි ඔය IELTS exam එක PT exam එක ඒ වගේ ඒවා කරන්න. රට යනකොට. ඕගොල්ලන්ට දෙන්න කියලා අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තේ ඉංග්‍රීසි මීඩියම් වලින් කියලා proof එක දුන්නාම ඉස්කෝලේනුයි යුනිවර්සිටි එකේනුයි that is enough right. So මම දන්නේ ඉස්සරහට කොහොමද කියලා ඔයගොල්ලන් විනුත් IELTS කියලා දන්නේ. හරිද? Okay, so I think you have done this. හරි. මම කතා කියන්නේ බොහොම අඩුවෙන්. හරි. Right, okay. Right, so let's do the next one. So write down with me, mark it here. Represent following in a Venn diagram. Represent following in a Venn diagram. This is example number 1. Right? These things are very easy. Yeah? So our universal set is I will tell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? And the subject of that is A equal 2, 4, and 6. Right? So my universal set is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My subset is 2 from that, 4 from here, 6 from here. Right? 2, 4, 6. My so how do we represent this example? Right? And this set, universal set and the subject in a Venn diagram. Now look at the book. First of all, universal set. Right? Okay. For representing the universal set, I told you, you need to draw a rectangle. Right? Before writing down the elements inside this rectangle of the universal set, I will draw the subset first. Right? Subset. So what is my subset? A. 2, 4, 6. How to denote the subject? How to represent the subject inside the universal set? By using an ellipse. Inside this, right, there are 3 elements: 2, 4, 6. 2, 4, 6. So what is the subject name? A. So now what is the universal set? This is the universal.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yes.
5, 6, 7.
Where are the other element should come outside this.
Outside the circle.
Right? 1, 3, 5, and 7. 1, 3, 5, and 7. So inside the universal set, all the elements are included. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Inside the universal set, all the elements are included. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? So please draw this. This is how we are going to represent the universal set and the subset by using an Venn diagram. Right, when you finish drawing, let me know. What again? Right, Dinu gas done. Right. Right. මේකේ පුතේ තියරි වැඩි ටිකක් ඉතින් ගණන් හදන්න තියෙන පාර්ට් එක අඩුයි. හරි. Right. ගණන් ටික එනවා තව ඉස්සරහට. හරි. Right. Hope you can see the screen. Right. Now look at the screen now. Now look at the screen. So now I am going to explain you, right? Representing two subjects in a different way, right? Representing two subjects in a different way. Right? So assume you have two sets called A and B. Assume you have two sets called A and B, right? So there are two sets called A and B, right? Okay. Now in the first in the first rectangle there is the point 1, right? Where the point 1 is when A and B sets have no common element. No common element, right? That means are podu pada naha, right? So you have to keep them out like this, right? So set is A is here, right? You have to name it. Set B is here because they are not they have not common elements, right? They have no common elements in between A and B. They are unique, right? For an example, right? 1, 2. Here you have 3, 4, right? And unique element 5, 6. Here you have 7, right? For an example, something like this, right? For the set A, there are 3 and 4 only. For the set B, there are 5 and 6 only. Right? So this is the way that you are going to represent two sets where no common elements are there. Right? If you have no common elements, this A set and B set are different, like this. Okay. Then when A and B sets have common elements, if they have common element, right? Now think A is something like this. A is 1, 3 and B equals 1, 3. Right? I am just explaining, right? I am just explaining. Okay. So what can you say about the set A and set B? One is common, mean one and one. One is common. So, right, this is the way that you are going to represent when they have common element. Common element, right? So one should come here because one is common for A and B, both, right? One is common for A and B both. One should be here, right? So sorry guys, this is 1 comma, I will say 5, 1 comma 5. A is 1 comma 3, B is 1 comma 5, right? So the rest of the elements of A is 3 and the rest of the element B of B is 5, right? So one is the common element for A and B, both A and B, right? And there are some other elements inside, outside the set A and B, 2, 4, something like this. So this is the universal set, right? If you have common elements, this is the way that you are going to represent the set A and set B, right? Just listen now. Aganda. Right. So next thing. How do you represent a subset? When B is a subset of A, B is a subset of A. That means A should be bigger, eh? Means like the mouth is open for A, for the A side, side A. B should be smaller, right? B should be smaller. A should be bigger. Means I will write it here, something like this. Mouth is open for A. B is a subset of A. B is a subset of A. So how do you represent that? So this is my universal set. I have to draw a rectangle and inside that I have to represent my set A, which is the biggest one. Inside that I have to mention, I have to draw the small b, small set of B, right? Because B is the subset of A. B is a subset of A, right? Inside the bigger circle, you have to write or you have to draw the smaller circle, right? Because B is a subset of A. A should be bigger. A should be bigger. Mouth is open for A side. A should be bigger. Right. Now, fourth one. When A and B are equal, very easy, right? A and B are equal, right? A has the same element and also B has the same element, like I explained in the equal set, right? A has 1, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 1, 3, 5, 7. B is also having same set of elements, 1, 3, 5, 7. So then A equals B, right? When A equals to B, same circle and you have to name it A and B from both sides, right? So definitely you need to draw the bigger rectangle as well because it is the universal set. This is the universal set, right? Okay. So please draw these things. මේවා මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ, right? So I will take this to the upper side so that you can write. Okay. Hope you can see. Right. Write this and draw this. Representing two subsets in different ways. Assume you have two sets called A and B and draw this one and draw this one and draw this one and also draw this. Taggal and